All right. I do believe this is live, coming to you live tonight for a very special Saturday comic books. Normally done Saturday afternoons, but things being as they are, I decided to give uh, a late night stream a try for Saturday. As always, Saturdays are reserved for chatting about all things comic book and comic book related. Let's see here. Looking at this. Do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? Going over here, going, which button do I want to? Come on. All right. I should be doing this better, I know. As if I do this. Nope. What in the world? Yes, yes. It always happens when you're trying to do something live. You get some craziness going on. All right. Now, okay. Yes, yes. Here I am trying something new, trying to figure out how to make things go, and this is what happens. All right. Ah, I have figured it out. Yes, yes, this is what I'm wanting. Anyway, thank you all for joining me tonight, whether live, lurking out there, or you catch me on a replay. This is not my normal time for my Saturday streams. I am trying something new here to see if I might like a later, oh, a later live stream or not. Let me finish up some editing here and the posting and the editing stuff. There we go. And then this. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Got this. Yeah, and there's another thing like dead air when I'm trying to get stuff going. Anyway, as you can tell by the thumbnail here, I couldn't let a Saturday go by without doing a Saturday comic book stream. Not my normal time slot. I normally try this in the afternoon from 2 to 4 Central Time, but I was not able to do that today, so I figured, okay, let's try something in a different time slot. And, well, I was aiming for 10 o'clock, but instead I got 10:30 because, well, I had to settle my house cats down. Otherwise, they'd be causing all kinds of ruckus while while I'm doing some stuff here. And this, that, and the other way. Or even now, I'm trying to juggle like a half dozen different things here, and this is not good. Okay, I should have done all this beforehand, but oh goodness. All right, everything done. All right, here we go. So yeah, I've got this set up. As you can tell, I'm going to be having a look at, I guess you could say, the history of bad comic book superhero movies, because There's certainly a lot of them, more than you could shake a stick at if you were so inclined to shake a stick at bad movies. I've whittled it down to a few articles. I'm not going to go too terribly long tonight. Let's see. This. Trying to decide, where do I want to start off with? Do I want to start off with the Sony news or the box office news? No, I believe I'm going to do this past, present, and future type thing. All right. So looking at the past, let me see. Share this one. There we go. This is a Collider.com article from last year, June 15th of 2024. The 15 worst superhero movies ranked according to IMDb. There's certainly a lot more than 15, but I thought this was a good representation, so I thought I'd start off tonight with sharing this article and then getting into some Sony news for the present state of some pretty bad cinematic stinkers. As always, I want to thank you all for joining me tonight, whether you're live out there lurking or you catch me on a replay. I do appreciate your time. And normally I'm do this Saturday afternoons 2 to 4, but things being as they are, had some unexpected goings and doings this afternoon. Had to take care of a bunch of stuff, so I had to push this to a later time frame to see how things go. Don't know if I'll make a permanent change to talking about comic books, all things comic book related, from afternoons to evenings, but I'll see how this goes. 15 worst superhero movies ranked according to IMDb. So let's dig into this before I move forward. We'll see where we've come and how far we've gone from past to present. For many years, as the article says, superhero films were a source of constant disappointment to fans, with some of them reaching levels to be considered some of the worst movies of all time. That's a pretty big statement right there. I've seen some pretty big stinkers over the past few decades. These bad superhero movies are made on a cheap, disloyal to the source material. Oh, that hasn't changed. Oh, no, this has not changed one bit. And worst of all, they simply weren't entertaining or exciting. Both in the era long before superhero movies became such a commodity, oh boy, are they ever, and the rare complete failure released during the modern era, the genre has had a wildly varied bottom of the barrel. Starting off with number 15 on the list, Zoom 2006. Actually, I had to think about this while reading the article here. This flew so low on the radar that I completely forgot about it. I had to think about it, and then I found myself thinking, "Oh yeah, I remember seeing this now," or not actually seeing it, but saw like the previews or something for it, and I thought, "Oh, that's nice," and then completely skipped it. Never saw Zoom, so I can't speak to how bad it is or was. Let's see. Nobody expected Zoom to be the greatest superhero movie all time, but nobody expected it to be quite so terrible either. The film follows Jack, played by Tim Allen. Okay, well, it's got something redeeming about it. Tim Allen, a former superhero who is brought back to train a group of children into the world's greatest superheroes. Allen is joined by Courtney Cox, Kate Mara, and Chevy Chase. But none of them are capable of salvaging the generic script and poorly written characters, which is probably why it flew under most people's radar. Oh, in the chat, I see Jason Fox. Hello there. Yo, yo, Jason Fox from 540 Studio. Hello there. Yes, yes, you're saying you saw it once, almost forgot it, but it was a real movie. Yes, yes. Yeah, never again. No, agreed. I never actually saw it the first time. I I'd even forgotten this movie existed, but then I remembered, it's like, oh yeah, I actually did see like a trailer for it or something, and then forgot all about it. Let's see, as it says, the CGI in Zoom is incredibly dated and jarring. Not that Zoom offers much to truly engage audiences in the first place. Woof. Follows the same archetype and style of a cheap and lazy comedy movie of the era. When was this again? 2006? 19 years ago now. IMDb gives it a score of 4.4 out of 10. But it's at 15 on this particular list, so it gets worse from here. Anyway, where to watch if you're so inclined. It looks like Hoopla and Canopy. Or probably find it at a discount bin at some video store someplace. Or at, well, whatever place still sells physical media, because it seems like everybody's dropping sales of DVDs and Blu-rays and such. Let's see what's next on this. Number 14. Number 14, we have Supergirl, 1984. IMDb gives it a 4.4 out of 10. Supergirl, decades before the character had her own hit series. That's questionable. Supergirl flew onto the big screen in a self-titled spin-off of the Christopher Reeve Superman films. Helen Slater was cast as the iconic heroine who must travel to Earth after losing a powerful orb. However, once she arrives on Earth, Supergirl finds herself up against a wicked witch. The film doesn't capture the charm or heart of the first two Superman films, blatantly feeling like a cheap attempt to squeeze the franchise of any last remaining interest. If I ever saw Supergirl, it was so long ago I've completely forgotten all about it. I may put it on my list of films to check out just for the heck of it when I have free time, but yeah. Let's see. Supergirl benefits from strong performances, and while it certainly isn't perfect, it's a somewhat solid attempt at a female-led superhero film during the decade when female superheroes weren't given their fair share of screen time. Mm-hmm. November 21st, 1984. Ooh, that's a long way back. Oh, in the chat, I see Comic Relief Crusader. Hello there. Yes, hello, hail. Thank you all for joining me tonight as I check out all things comic book related. This one I'm talking about cinematic stinkers and the superhero genre, past, present, and future, maybe? I don't know. Let's see, 13 on the list. Oh no, Ghost Rider, no! Ghost Rider, Spirit of Vengeance, 2011, 4.3 out of 10. Of course, this is Nick Cage as Ghost Rider. Let's see. Spirit of Vengeance sees Johnny Blaze once again having to take down the devil who has returned to Earth in human form with plans to take over the world. Actually, thinking back, this wasn't a bad film. I would watch this over much of the MCU that's been released over the past 4 years. I think this is a little bit harsh. IMDb 4.3 out of 10. I don't know. It wasn't bad. It was fun. The film strived for a darker, grittier tone than the first Ghost Rider movie, but was still too tame to appeal to diehard fans of the character and too dull to appeal to neutral audiences. Okay. Well, the first two Ghost Riders, the only two Ghost Riders, still quite fun. I quite enjoyed it. Let's see, checking with the chat here. Jason saying, not the best, but I still love it. Yeah, true. Yeah. Comic Relief Crusader. I'm okay with it. Yeah. Not the best, but man, fun with Cage. Yes, Nick Cage. Idris Alba, Violante Placido, Clary. It has been too long of a day to cry. Blah, 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 blah. It has been too long of a day to try to pronounce crazy names. But this guy here is in it. Of course, Nicolas Cage. Ciarán Hinds. Ciarán? C. Hinds, yes. Call it C. Hinds for short. Yeah, it's not bad. That one, second one, first one, second one, not bad. Okay, here we go. Fantastic Four, number 12 on the list. 2015 IMDb score of 4.3 out of 10. This is the Josh Trank one. I can tell just by looking at the picture. I didn't even have to see Josh Trank in the description here. I almost said, what was he thinking? But man, I don't wholly blame the director for it because Josh Trank was coming off of Chronicle, which I quite enjoyed as far as I'm not a big fan of the found footage type movies, but there were maybe one or two that rose above the other found footage ones. Chronicle wasn't bad. That was kind of interesting. Let's see. There was a lot of hype surrounding the 2015 reboot of Fantastic Four, yet again. In the months leading up to its release, Josh Trank signed on to direct and on the back of directing critically acclaimed found footage superhero Chronicle. Assembled an incredible cast. Michael B. Jordan, Kate Mara, Miles Teller, Jamie Bell are all hot properties at the time. Yawn, if you say so. The final product of Fantastic Four almost feels embarrassed of itself to even be attached to this quirky comic characters it's based on. The film suffered from a massive amount of studio interference. Yes, I think this is what sunk the film more than the director. Yes, was troubled due to an alleged rift between Trank and cast members. Trank has since left an honest review of the film on Letterboxd. Don't believe I've ever read that. I may go back and read that sometime. Oh, goodness. Just checking up on the chat. Comic Relief Crusader says, lol. Yes, lol indeed. Yes, the studio really did F up on this one. I almost said something about the upcoming Fantastic Four with Pedro, but I will actually wait for that one to be released or until we actually get something resembling a trailer for that. And I'll reserve my judgment for it at that point in future. Let's see. Where to watch it, if you're so inclined, on Max. If you really care. Whatever. Number 11, Madam Web. 2024. We're getting into the present round of cinematic stinkers in the superhero world. 3.9 out of 10. I think that's quite generous. And I've never actually watched this movie, so I really can't speak to it quality wise. I've seen clips of it, I've seen screenshots of it, and that is honestly enough for me. And I've gone back and checked up on bits of the comic book here and there, because honestly, I'm not familiar with the title, character, or the comic book lore. I'm gonna get a drink of tea here to wet the whistle. Sony Spider-Man universe expands and contracts with Madam Web, a movie that follows a clairvoyant woman named Cassandra Webb, Dakota Johnson. As she grapples with her newfound power, she uncovers a chilling prophecy. Oh no, 3 seemingly ordinary teenagers, because that's who I want saving the world, is teenagers. Julia Cornwall, Sydney Sweeney, Anya Corazon, Isabella Merced, and Maddie Franklin, Celeste O'Connor. They're destined for a deadly confrontation with a mysterious figure known as Ezekiel Sims. Tahar Rahim. That's nice. Madam Web was a box office bomb due in large to its convoluted narrative and shallow characters. Excessive exposition and clunky dialogue plagued the screenplay, resulting in a disjointed, unconvincing plot. In addition, viewers point out that the film relies too heavily on established Spider-Man lore. Hold on a second. Let me reread this. The film. Viewers point out that the film relies too heavily on established Spider-Man lore. Isn't it supposed to fit in the Spider-Man universe? Doesn't make sense. Anyway, that's just me tripping over sentences here and there because people write things that doesn't make sense or don't make sense, preventing it from creating unique and engaging characters. Safe to say, Madam Web is tangled in a web of negative reviews. Tangled in a web of oh boy. These 2 paragraphs are about as bad as the movie. Anyway, what was it? 3.9 out of 10. And if you're so inclined, you can find it on Netflix. Oh, Netflix. For a second, I was tempted to look this up on Netflix sometime next week, but I believe I will skip it. I'm catching up with the chat. Oh, one good thing about the movie. We all know what that is. It was so boring. Yeah, I do believe this is a skipper. I will skip this one. All right, moving down. The Fantastic Four in 1994. Oh goodness. I'd almost say you can't call yourself a comic book movie fan if you haven't seen the 1984 cinematic gem of the Fantastic Four. IMDb gives it 3.8 out of 10. The production of this film is ironically far more interesting than the actual film itself, as the article says, though it's unbeknownst to the cast and crew at the time, the Fantastic Four was never intended to be released, and yet you can find it out there. I believe somebody's even uploaded it on YouTube. The studio is going to lose the rights to the franchise if they didn't put a film into production, and hence shooting quickly began on the Fantastic Four, even compared to the other already poorly received Fantastic Four films. This one is strange and confusing black sheep that's been forgotten to time. No, it hasn't. I'd rather sit down and rewatch this one than the Josh Trank one or anything else that has Fantastic Four tacked on. Let's see. Looking at the cast, that's not a bad looking cast, honestly. They kind of fit their comic book counterparts. Let's see. The Fantastic Four is not currently not available to stream, rent, or purchase in the U.S. Well, I haven't looked recently on YouTube. At one time, I thought I saw it. Somebody uploaded it on YouTube. Let's see who's in it. Cast: Alex Hyde White, Jay Underwood, Rebecca Stabb. Anyway, Michael Bailey Smith. Director Oli Sassoni. May 31st, 1984. Jason saying, yeah, I like the 1984 one. It's worth a watch. Yes, yes. And I've heard people say that it's perhaps the most comic book accurate Fantastic Four. It's been multiple decades since I've actually sat down and watched it all the way through, so I may have to add that to my list of movies to rewatch in the near future. Oh yes, yes. Jason's saying it is on YouTube. Seen it there many times. Very cool. Because I can remember going to like some comic book conventions decades ago and seeing like bootlegs of it floating around on VHS. So yeah, it's out there. I think at this point nobody cares. Good to see at least once, maybe multiple times if it holds up. If you think it holds up for multiple viewings, like I said, I would sit down and watch it ahead of this monstrosity here or anything else we're about to get. Let's see. Let's scrolling down, scrolling. What's next? What's after? Oh, Batman and Robin. Clocking in at number 9 on the list. Batman and Robin, 1997, 3.8 out of 10. Oh, goodness. We all know this. George Clooney, Uma Thurman, Schwarzenegger, Chris O'Donnell. I can't add any more than what so many others have already discussed about this horrible train wreck of a Batman movie. Any criticism of it, I'm sure, is well deserved. June 20th, 1997. 2 hours, 5 minutes running time. Probably hour and a half too long. I don't know. Joel Schumacher. Yep, he's to blame. He's to blame right there. Yep. Watch it on Cinemax if you're so inclined. Oh, goodness. Oh, well, hang on. I just caught some words in the sentence here. Schwarzenegger's portrayal of Mr. Freeze is charming enough to draw audiences. Am I reading a Screen Rant article here? No, this is Collider. I almost thought I was reading a Screen Rant article. What nonsense is this? I'm going to call foul on this one, Coach. This is wrong. That is so wrong right there. The film takes a notable nosedive far into the comedic hijinks. Yeah. Oh, goodness. Moving right along. I've lost complete interest even in talking about this movie. Number 8, The Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl 3D, 2005. Part of Robert Rodriguez's Spy Kids universe. The Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl is a fun-filled movie geared for kids. I'm trying really hard to think here. Have I watched this? That's a kids movie. Yes, Jason's saying that is a kids movie. A lot of kids loved it. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to begrudge it because it's a kids movie. I can't recall if I've ever sat down and watched it. I might have, just because I at the time I really liked Robert Rodriguez. Let's see. The story itself lacks a clear focus, and its underdeveloped characters fail to engage the audience. Attempts to explore themes of imagination feel muddled by inconsistent narration. However many flaws it has, the film might hold some appeal for younger viewers who enjoy whimsical visuals and action sequences, even if delivered with unintentional humor. I might have actually sat down and watched this. When did this come out? 2005? 20 years ago. Yes, yes. Yeah, the neurons aren't quite firing. I'm still struggling to remember if I watched this all the way through. I want to say I did. Let's see. Jason's saying he loved the movie as a kid. Yep. Where to watch it? Prime Video. Caden Boyd, Kristen Davis, George Lopez, David Arquette. Number 7. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Some real cinematic gems. Captain America 2, Death Too Soon, 1979. IMDb score of 3.7 out of 10, which I'm just from these visuals might be overly generous. This is a sequel to the 1979 TV movie Captain America. Captain America 2, Death Too Soon is a movie that sees Steve Rogers, played by Reb Brown, go after the villainous General Miguel, Christopher Lee, with his weapon that can rapidly age victims. Miguel threatens to target Portland for a huge ransom. While the captain ages for a mere month, Miguel dies in an instant. Oh, yes. Let's see. Low budget limitations are on full display. Doesn't use a sleek. Instead, he rides a toy-like contraption with a clear plastic shield. Oh, yes, yes. Shall we look at some of the screen grabs here? Oh, yeah, yeah. The motorcycle helmet. You can't beat the motorcycle helmet, and there's like the plastic fairing of the bike there. Riveting. Oh, look, action. Yay. It is a victim of its time. 1979. Oh, goodness. But I'm sure they had fun making it. Let's see, catching up with chat. Jason saying the aim for kids, and it was a good time to be a kid. Oh, yes, yes, about the spy kids. Yeah, yeah. Yep, oh, that one. See-through shield. Yep. Number 6. Oh, Nick Fury Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., 1998, 3.7 out. I actually remember this. I actually remember catching this on TV when it came out. I remember actually enjoying it. David Hasselhoff playing Nick Fury. Dare I say it, early comic book accurate Nick Fury. Well, yes. Agreed, Jason. Yes. uh, he's yet to have a modern day Marvel movie of his own. The admired S.H.I.E.L.D. director Nick Fury was a star of a 1998 TV film, Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. The over the top campy action adventure sees a retired and presumably rusty Nick dusting himself off when the world is threatened by Andrea von Strucker, the child of the infamous villain Baron Strucker. Andrea and her terrorist group aim to unleash a deadly virus upon Manhattan, and it's up to Nick to save the world. The movie embraces camp, but not in a good way. Hasselhoff's portrayal is more comedic than commanding. I remember it differently. I'm sorry. I kind of remember. I even to this day, I remember it fondly. This will be one of the ones I will have to go back and rewatch. I actually still have this on VHS someplace. I actually did record it off the TV onto VHS tape when it aired. Which reminds me, I need to get my VCR repaired. Oh no! Where can I find a VCR repair place this day and age? I know it's got a tape stuck in there. It's got like an old tape of like TV shows and movies. Maybe I can do it myself. Anyway, Nick Fury, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and we've got some screen captures here. I think that is Nick Fury. David Hasselhoff at the time did an excellent job in the role. And if he was like 30 years younger, getting him back into that role, I don't think would be a problem. Oh, you can actually buy it on Amazon. Comic Relief Crusader saying, I got 2 VCRs. Oh, that's cool. I've got one regular old fancy super duper VHS VCR. I used to have SVHS VCR, which was like the higher end VCR that could record at like twice the resolution of a normal VCR. That required super duper SVHS video cassettes, but I sold that years ago. Moving down the list, number 5. Okay. This is accurate. This was pretty bad. Superman 4: The Quest for Peace, 1987. IMDb score of 3.7 out of 10. That is a well-deserved score. I remember this even as a kid at that time thinking this was kind of silly. It's a real shame that Christopher Reeve's time as Superman came to such a disappointing conclusion. The actor, who was utterly beloved for his performance as Clark Kent and as his heroic alter ego, deserved a far better send-off than the one he got in Superman 4: Quest for Peace. Yeah, it was pretty bad. Let's see, earning just shy of 16 million domestically, with a reported budget of 17 million. especially when compared to the still legendary previous films in the franchise. Quest for Peace feels like a genuine disgrace to the Man of Steel. Yeah, yeah, I can agree with that. That's pretty sad. Jason's saying still better than a lot of the new movies. Yes, true. It comes down to the question of which ones would you rather watch or rewatch? The ones made 20, 30, 40 years ago or the ones made last year? Let's see here. Uh, Moving right along. Number 4. Oh, Catwoman 2004. 3.4 out of 10. Halle Berry cinematic stinker. The one that she gladly and proudly accepted a raspberry for. Oh, yes, yes. I can't add any more than what's already been said about this one. 3.4 from people, all the reviews I've read about it over the years. That is overly, that's too generous. 21 years ago. I've never actually watched this film. Let's see. On the surface, Catwoman should have been a roaring or meowing. Ha, 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 ha. Yes, I see the humor you're attempting there. Meowing success was part of a beloved superhero franchise, playing Storm in both X-Men and X-Men 2. Sharon Stone seemed like the perfect choice to go toe-to-toe with, and the titular feline heroine. Sorry, I'm getting kind of bored just looking at this. The fight scene is flat, without tension. Plot was disengaging, often bordered on ridiculous. The character was uncomfortably and aggressively sexualized. Well, if you've ever read a comic book, Anyway, worst on-screen Catwoman. Yes. Watch it. Oh, you can catch it on Amazon Prime if you're so inclined. Halle Berry, Benjamin Bratt, Sharon Stone, Lambert Wilson. Oh, yep, yep. The movie was a nope. Yep. I don't believe I will ever. Some of these I would make time to catch, but this one is like a skipper completely. Skip it, skip it. Oh, Captain America, number 3 on the list. Captain America, 1990. Oh goodness, I remember this one vaguely. 3.2 out of 10. Before Chris Evans brought the role of Captain America to life with his charm, honor, and shield slinging abilities, Matt Salinger held the role in Captain America 1990. Follows Cap as he wakes up after spending decades frozen in ice to battle his arch nemesis, the Red Skull. Dun dun dun. The plot is basic, and if we're being totally honest, childish. Film is easily one of the most often forgotten films that Marvel has ever created. Yeah, I agree, because honestly, I had forgotten all about it until I saw it in the article here. I was like, oh yeah, that came out years and years ago. 1990. That was so very long ago. Let's see. Minuscule TV budget. Well, that's part of the problem right there. Had many flaws and awkward action sequences. And blatant when compared to other superhero films of the era. The film is cheesy and dated, but if viewed in the right mindset, a somewhat forgiving mindset, it can be a thoroughly entertaining, even amusing watch. You can rent it on Amazon. Comic Relief Crusader saying he saw it. And Jason saying, look at the Red Skull. He. Oh, yes, we're about to do this right here. Let's see here. I gotta make this go bigger for that. Okay, here we go. Brace yourselves, everyone. Yay! I'm super. Oh, fight scene. Fight scene, or he's just trying to come here. Hold still while I choke you. No, stop moving. No, stop. I'm about to fall out my chair. Oh goodness. All right. Oh goodness. Yeah. So yay. Okay, that's enough of that. That was number 3 on the list. uh, Jason's. Oh goodness, yes. So cheesy. Red cheese face. Yes, yes. Better than Cap 4. That is believable. Yes. Oh goodness. All right, moving right along. We're getting close to the end of this article before I move on to Sony news, and I'll even touch on some Valiant news because I'm a Valiant Comics fanboy, and I have no reservations about being a fan of early Valiant comics. So before tonight ends, I will touch on Valiant and where they are. Okay, this one I'm not sure about. The Crow, Wicked Prayer, 2005, IMDb score of 3 out of 10. Mm. Oh, it's the 4th entry in the Crow franchise. Edward Furlong stars an ex-convict named Jimmy Cuervo. Let's see. Of course, he gets brutally murdered by a cult. Oh, David Boreanaz. Wow, I don't believe I've seen this one. He was resurrected by a crow, now a vengeful spirit with superhuman abilities. He embarks on a bloody quest for revenge against Luke's gang. Without a doubt, Wicked Prayer is a dark stain on the franchise. It attempted to recapture the gothic vibe, simply falls flat. Hopefully, the reboot of the Crow franchise brings new life to the beloved superhero series. And I am seeing. Uh, no. 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 Just no. Yes, yes. This looks like one that is easily skipped. I know I've seen the first Crow movie. I might have seen the second one, but beyond that, it's Jason saying, love the actors, but the movie was awful. Yes. For me, it's like Highlander. There should have been only one. But yeah, that's we've got some screen grabs here. Oh, there's David Boreanaz from Buffy and Angel, 2005. This would have been shortly after the TV shows. This just looks. Oh, this looks really bad. This looks really bad, honestly. It's are they were they phoning it in? Were they phoning in the performances? Because nothing here looks engaging. It looks like you get some actors and tell them just phone it in or try way too hard to be edgy. I know I didn't even know there were fourth entry in the Crow. I didn't even know there were 4 films. I knew there was 1 and 2, but beyond that, it's like okay. And Jason saying it look and feel like a C film. Yeah. Well, moving right along. Number one on the list, Steel, 1997. IMDb score of 3.0 out of 10. Yes, and that is again being generous, because I remember when this came out, I might have even gone to the theater with some friends to check this out, and because when I was like, oh look, Steel, it's a superhero movie. It's like based on the Steel character from the comic books, and boy, were we disappointed in it. Let's see. If you watch the Steel trailer, the 19, I keep wanting to say 87, 1997 superhero film starring Shaquille O'Neal, you'll likely wonder how the producers managed to spend $16 million on a movie that looks so cheap. The film follows John Henry Irons, a military scientist who transforms himself into a superhero when he discovers that a weapon he developed has fallen into the wrong hands. Iron Man. Yeah. Sorry. Allergies. He soon takes it upon himself to become the unexpected hero that his community needs, getting ready to wage war against the villains of the world. It may not be surprising, a superhero movie starring Shaq is the furthest thing from an actual quality filmmaking. Even then, the low qualities still confound the mind. The film was not an easy watch. No, it wasn't. Even way back when, it wasn't. Pretty easy to understand why it only made 1.8 million at global. Oh goodness, 1.8 million. That's like a catering budget for most movies nowadays. It wasn't entirely without charm, though, especially given that O'Neal had to perform all of his own stunts because they couldn't find a stunt performer who matched the size and build. uh, Let's see, catching up with the chat here. Jason saying he hated it so much. Yeah, The Crow. Yes, Comic Relief Crusader saying, "Oh no, no, yes, yes, yes. Saw it once, never again. This was so bad. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. It was so bad. If you're so inclined, you can find it on Amazon Prime, Apple TV, the little streaming network that could, and Vudu. Let's see. All right. All right, that was a fun little article. And because I want to wrap it up tonight's live stream in the next 30 minutes, I'm going to hurry on to the next articles. Moving right along here. This has been, here we go. Sony scraps latest Spider-Man spinoff after string of Marvel bombs. An unconfirmed title has been removed from the studio's release slate. Not surprising, honestly. Sony has been struggling quite a bit with its own Spider-Man spin-off films. But then again, what did you expect was going to happen when the studio tried to create a cinematic universe based around a character who wasn't present? Very much like trying to build movies and TV shows about Batman without having Batman in them. Cough, cough, CW, and so many others. Gotham. There's at least two other TV shows that have been Batman spin-off TV shows without Batman in them. It's getting kind of old, really. If you're going to have a Batman TV show, have a Batman TV show. Don't stop dancing around it. Anyway, this is much in the same vein. Spider-Man If you're going to make Spider-Man movies, make Spider-Man movies. The villains come second. There we go. Having a quick drink here. While Venom: The Last Dance was a modest box office success, still haven't seen it. Fans and critics alike ripped Madam Web and Kraven the Hunter to pieces, to the point where the latter two films have become internet memes. And yet, I'm still interested in checking out Kraven the Hunter. Not so much Madam Web, and not so much the living vampire Morbius. Oh, yes, here we go. Sony rightfully shared Spider Man with Marvel Studios, a massive success, while using the other related characters. It has the rights to develop a shared cinematic universe of its own, and it has been falling flat from all the reviews out there, which included the Venom films. Oh, goodness. I don't have enough time tonight to discuss Venom, Morbius, and the aforementioned Madam Web and Kraven the Hunter. But unlike the Marvel Cinematic Universe, whose filmmakers have gone to great lengths to assure its films and most of its TV shows are connected to one another, Sony never made it clear as to how or even if these films are connected, which is probably one of the biggest tripping points for the whole ordeal. If you're going to do something, don't do it halfway. Commit to it fully and follow through with it. Fans were only more baffled when the franchise intersected with the MCU a couple of times, such as Venom's appearance in Spider-Man No Way Home or the Vulture's appearance in Morbius. Neither of these connections have been followed up on, and neither studio seems to be interested in pursuing these plot points. Which, honestly, in my opinion, all of these would probably be better served on the small screen. Give them the Netflix Marvel treatment. Give them a season of 15 episodes. That way you can really develop Morbius. You can develop Madam Web or whoever you want, Kraven the Hunter, Venom, Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery of Villains, which more and more over the past 5, 6, 10 years, I'm starting to question the viability of big budget, big screen superhero movies. But anyway, that's a subject for another time. Let's see. Sony's franchise is riddled with flaws from the very beginning, so its failure is completely understandable. They don't commit to it. However, one person doesn't seem to understand a Sony Pictures CEO who blames the critics for the film's failure. Yes, shifting the blame to the audiences. Using that wonderful phrase that people use so much, superhero fatigue. It's like, oh, well, it's okay. People are just suffering superhero fatigue. Let's see. On the small screen, Sony has teamed up with Amazon Prime and MGM to create a TV series based on Spider-Man Noir with Nick Cage. I'm looking forward to this. One, it's Nick Cage. Two, it's Spider-Man Noir. And three, I'm hoping it turns out well. I'm really wanting this to be good. Let's see. Sony is maybe putting the kibosh on the SSU. Still hasn't given up on Spider-Man. On the animated side, 2018 Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and 2023 Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse were massive critical and financial hits for the studio, with Into the Spider-Verse going home with the gold. A third film and the series Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse is currently... Okay, that's interesting. I've seen the first Spideyverse movie. It was okay. I have not checked out the second one yet. Don't know if I will. But anyway, this is leading into this article here because this is pretty bad. This is more recent, December 15th of last year. Box office bomb. Craven the Hunter bombs with 11 million opening weekend. Oh, this is so bad. I had my hopes for Craven. I haven't actually sat down and watched it. Let's see. Sony's Craven the Hunter spinoff starring Aaron Taylor Johnson as Spider-Man's notorious foe, launched behind already low expectations at number 3 with 11 million from 3,211 theaters. It landed the worst debut for Sony's universe of Marvel characters behind February's misfire of Madam Web. So it's even lower than Madam Web's 15.3 million. Oh, goodness. But of the three, Madam Web, Morbius, and Craven, I find myself wanting to check out Craven more and more, just out of sheer curiosity. With all this said, it's safe to say, yes, Sony is putting a lot of their plans on the back burner because uh, you got the bean counters at the studio going, okay, well, how many hundreds of millions can we lose? Let's see, I thought I saw a figure in here someplace. Sonic the Hedgehog. Paramount's got it in 3 with 7.8 million. Yeah, that's just box office draws. Universal's Wicked adaptation earned more than double that of Craven. Woof. Woof. Anyway, shifting away from comic book movies some, I wanted to get into this. This is a bleedingcool.com article. Valiant Beyond launch postpones over Diamond bankruptcy concerns. Valiant, the comic book company, has postponed their Valiant Beyond relaunch over concerns about Diamond Comics distributors' decision to enter Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Just a little quick article from Bleeding Cool about how the Diamond Comic distributor, their sinking has had its own ramifications across the comic book industry. The largest takeaway I actually got from this article is my thinking to myself, wow, Valiant Comics is still around. And I say Valiant Comics because, like I said, back during a certain time in the 90s, like 90 to 92, I absolutely loved the Valiant Comics universe. That was a great universe of comic book characters. You had Exo Man of War, you had Solar Man of the Atom, you had Harbingers, you had Magnus Robot Fighter. You had a great roster of characters. Everybody else at that time was going on about Marvel this, DC that, Image this, that, and the other thing. I was all about Valiant for those 2 years. And then, of course, they changed ownerships. Let's see, Valiant Comics has already had quite the tempestuous publishing history. The current version of the Valiant universe, published with Alien Books, has gone down well with fans of the 4 previous versions, owned by Jim Shooter from Marvel, and then purchased and run some by Acclaim, and then Dinesh, and then DMG. Honestly, I've looked at all periods of Valiant books, and the Jim Shooter era with the Barry Windsor Smith artwork, hands down, that was the best era. I've tried reading books from the Acclaim era and the books from the other two guys or two owners, and it's like the law of what is it? The law of diminishing returns. You start off great, then it's like, yeah, okay. Then it's like, oh, whatever. And then, okay. I think it was like a year ago I was reading up on Valiant Books and where they were, and they were down to publishing one book a month. It's like, oh, how far the mighty has fallen. And I keep thinking to myself, if I ever win the lottery, and have like stupid amounts of money, I would so buy Valiant Comics. I would buy Valiant Comics. I would buy all the rights to all the characters they lost over the decades, and then I would hire the right people and make my own Valiant Comics universe TV shows, movies, whatnot. I would go back to the era when everything was great. 90 to 92, maybe a bit into 93 and 94, but yeah, that was the biggest takeaway I got from this article is like, wow, Valiant Comics is still around. Which leads me back to live action movies. Notably, let's see, the last two articles of the evening before I wrap it up for tonight. This is, what is this? Valiant.fandom.com wiki. List of films based on Valiant Comics. So we've gone from some of the worst of Marvel and DC, some made for TV movies from the past, going back to, what was it, 79? Now we touched on the present era of movies, and now we're looking at Valiant Comics. Let's see. Released Bloodshot. I remember that came and went. Had starred Vin Diesel in it as the title character, Bloodshot. Never watched it. I checked it out just enough to say that is not the comic book character. Let's see. In development, Harbinger, Archer and Armstrong, Shadow Man, Faith, Bloodshot 2. Rumors, Exo Man of War, Eternal Warrior. Okay, for those of you who are familiar with Valiant Comics, you're probably scratching your head as like, of all things, this honestly, if done right, Valiant would be an awesome cinematic universe. You have the Harbinger team, that's their equivalent to the X-Men. You have Exo Man of War, their equivalent to Iron Man. You have Solar Man of the Atom. I guess you could say they're equivalent to Dr. Manhattan from Watchmen. I had to struggle there to think about that comic book series. But yeah, they had everything. Let's see. Bloodshot came and went. Film based on Bloodshot will be the first one. Well, it came and went. Film currently has a release date of March 13th, 2020. This is an old article, not updated at all. Which brings me to this article, the last one for the evening. What happened to the Harbinger movie? Updated 6 months ago. GiantFreakingRobot.com. Now, if you're asking what is the Harbinger? Who are the Harbingers? They are the equivalent of the X-Men. They're more like I would say, a grown-up version of the X-Men, or maybe I have to use a term, more grounded version of the X-Men. Let's see. As the article starts, it would probably be a pretty sweet life to have psychic power to make anyone do what you wanted. Theoretically, you could become the most powerful writer in the world because you make anyone hop into the website. Okay, yeah, that's the article. Writer? Ha 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 ha. Uh, People with mind powers are a dime a dozen in comic books, but Valiant Entertainment's Harbinger reboot was a stellar when it happened. Actually, the original run was probably the best. And it appeared Valiant was making a comic movie out of it themselves. I want to say at one time Sony was behind it because I want to say Sony or Fox or somebody released that Bloodshot movie. I can't think of it now. Let's see. It was based on Jim Shooter's original series run from 92 to 95. The licensing rights were with Paramount since 2008, but the project was in permanent stall after all the lawsuit hoopla with Fox and Warner Brothers over Watchmen. But then Valiant got the rights back and they were going forward with the original plans. The original comic may have gotten everyone excited from the get go, but our guess is that the reboot success, based in no small part on the deft storytelling of writer Joshua Dysart, was giving them more confidence in this being a solid title to develop. Director Brett Ratner spearheaded the initial attempt, but for obvious reasons, he fell out of favor in Hollywood. Since then, the Harbinger movie has gone through a few different starts and stops. And here is a shot of Vin Diesel as Bloodshot. Completely unrelated to the article at hand. Let's see. From there, Harbinger fell behind in Valiant Comics movie lineup, with Bloodshot hitting the big screen in 2020, hitting and leaving somewhat quickly from what I remember. That one starred Vin Diesel in the lead role. Problem there was the movie was bad. Bombed at the box office with 37 million on a 45 million. My goodness, we're talking about box office bombs. 37 million is kind of respectable compared to uh, uh, what was it? Craven the Hunter at 11 million. So yeah, the future of Valiant movies is in limbo at this point. And I only mention it because I'd love to see a really good Valiant cinematic universe. Because honestly, my from myself, I'm getting kind of tired of what's being presented to us out there from the big two, Marvel and DC. I'd like to see some other superheroes from other publishers. That's if we're not getting to a point where the age of the cinematic superhero movie is not coming to an end. I mean, we don't know what lies in store for Marvel. We don't know what's really coming out of James Gunn's DC universe. And here I am just going on over. This is a small list too, because before I live streamed tonight, there were lists of the 50 worst Marvel the 50 worst comic book superhero movies. I thought, no, I'd be here all night if I was covering the 50 worst. But yeah, um, for myself, I'm getting kind of tired of the offerings given to us by DC and Marvel. I'd love to see some independent books out there being turned into TV shows and movies. But that may or may not happen. Let's see. As I wind down the show, this little test stream for my Saturday comic books live stream, or whatever I decide to rename it if I continue with this time slot in the future. Or I might just decide to go back to Saturday afternoons from 2 to 4 ish. I don't know. That is that's something I'm going to decide in the future. Let me the chat. Okay, for some reason the chat has not been scrolling, so I have missed a lot of comments here. Let's see. Let's see. Still watch that show. Craven is good. Yeah. From what we were watching on previous live streams, it looked at least interesting. I didn't get anything that engaged me from what I saw of, say, Morbius or Madam Web. Craven to me looked at least interesting. Let's see. I think more of the other movies did mess it up. Yeah. That's cool. Oh yes. Jason's saying Valiant Comics was good. Yeah, I loved that era of Valiant books. They had a really great roster of characters. Oh yes, you loved Ninjak. Yes, I remember Ninjak. Yeah, Valiant books was odd. They had characters for anybody. You had a ninja assassin equivalent, like a Daredevil type, not Daredevil, more like a Elektra maybe equivalent character. So yeah, any character you liked in Marvel or DC, Valiant had an equivalent that I thought was actually better. Oh yes, I remember that. I actually watched. I believe I might have actually watched that one. Or I may be thinking of a live action fan made Valiant fan film that had all the characters in it. It had like Exo Man of War, it had Armstrong and Archer, had like a little bit of everybody in it. It was pretty entertaining from what I remember. Yeah, you hated the Ven Bloodshot movie. Yeah, agreed. That's the first thing I saw. I thought when I saw the poster or the production art. That's not Bloodshot. Yes. I do believe I have seen that one. Jason David Frank is Bloodshot in the YouTube web series. He is pretty good. Yes. I would so love to see a Valiant cinematic universe. That's like if I ever win the lottery or like come into like stupid buku bucks, like throwaway money, I'd be like, okay, Valiant, I'll buy all of it. I'll buy everything. It's mine. I'll buy it. I want to own it. I want to have control of it. And then I will surround myself with the best people to actually produce excellent films. And I would look at what Marvel did with Marvel Phase 1 and 2, except where Marvel started their universe off with Iron Man, that would be a little on the nose if you start a Valiant Cinematic Universe, a VCU, with, say, Exo Man of War. I think the best way to start a Valiant Cinematic Universe would be with the Harbinger group, or maybe Solar Man of the Atom. That's something I loved about Valiant because they went back, got the rights to the old Whitman and Gold Key comic book characters like Magnus Robot Fighter, Solar Man of the Atom, Turok, and I want to say one or two others that I'm blanking on so much now. But yeah, Jason's saying I would love to see a good universe there. Yeah, I loved those characters. I loved that universe. They all fit so well together, and that wonderful Barry Windsor Smith art. The Now that was a great time when Jim Shooter was writing it. Barry Windsor Smith was doing the art and some of the writing, and I forget who else did the writing chores on Valiant. But yeah, it's. Let me see. Well, I've got the internet right here. I'm like looking at my screen, and there's the internet. All right. Valiant Comics history. Valiant founded by Jim Shooter and Steven Masersky in 1989. Let's see. And then they were sold to Acclaim Entertainment in 94, and that's when things went off the rails as far as I'm concerned. Let's see. Valiant Comics. I'm trying to find the writers. I knew who founded them and who they've been sold and sold off and sold back to. Let's see. Yes. Barry Windsor Smith, Bob Layton. That's the other one I was trying to think of. Yes. First title release, Magnus Robot Fighter. Cover dated May of 1991. Then Solar Man of the Atom. Rye, becoming the third title published. Then Harbinger #1. And then somewhere along the line, they had Bloodshot, Ninjak, Hardcore, Exo Man of War, Shadow Man, Turok Dinosaur Hunter. Yeah, let's buy it and make good movies because these characters I think would be pretty fresh, especially sticking to the original storylines. I certainly enjoyed Exo Man of War, seeing uh, I saw one article talking about Exo Man of War saying he's uh, the Conan equivalent, but in an Iron Man type super suit. That's not quite right. He's more of like a Visigoth Viking type character, kidnapped by aliens, taken from Earth, escapes the aliens, makes his way back to Earth, but of course, due to time dilation and flying near the speed of light to get back to Earth, he finds himself in modern day era instead of when he left. No, it's such a wonderful cast of characters. Yeah, here I am just waxing poetic about Valiant Comics universe. It really says more about the sad state of the MCU and the DC cinematic universe that I'm not babbling on and rambling on more and more about, oh, this Marvel movie that's about to come out or that DC movie that's going to be released. Oh, won't those be great? No. It's like I've just spent, let's see, how long I've been going on? Not quite an hour and a half going on about the terrible movies we've been getting from both Marvel and DC over the past, 5, 6, 8, 10 years. The sad state the MCU is in, the sad state that DC is in, and what may or may not happen, and whatever phase Marvel's in now. I've lost track. Is it like phase 5, phase 6, phase indifference? And whatever DC is going to do, or whatever Gunn is going to do. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up for tonight. This has been a fun experiment and a different time slot for me, discussing my Saturday comic book live stream, all things comic book and comic book related. Normally, Saturday afternoons from 2 to 4, which I might return to. I don't know. I'll see how things go, if I have time in the future Saturdays. I say, before I leave for tonight, I want to thank you all, as always, for joining me tonight. Please like, subscribe, and share. If you want to, feel free to leave a comment on the worst comic book movie you have ever seen, or one that you are looking forward to catching, or what is your favorite comic book out there? What have you enjoyed? Or if you're a Valiant fan yourself, leave a thumbs up. Let's see who joined me tonight. I want to thank you all, whether you caught me live, lurking, or you catch me on a replay. I do appreciate your time. Jason Fox from 540 Studio, first one out of the gate. Yo. And then he was followed by Comic Relief Crusader Hell. Yes. Thank you guys for joining me in the chat. I do appreciate it. Let's see. Going through the chat, making sure I catch everything, because the chat window has not been advancing. It shows I have... Oh, here we go. Oh. DJ Ronnie G. Hello there. Well, thank you for joining me tonight. Even though I'm about to wrap things up, I've been rambling on here for an hour and a half, feeling myself running out of steam, about to call it an evening. But thank you so much for dropping by. It is appreciated. Thank you all. Let's see. Scooting over to where the music is. Find my act. Where is... I keep telling myself I can do this. My ending track here. So I bring down the volume so I can talk over it. Wow, this has been fun. Thank you all for joining me tonight. Until next time, everyone, read a good comic book. Catch a good comic book movie, or even a bad one that you kind of enjoyed. Until next time, everyone, catch you all later.